There he is, one of our favorites, joins us again, and he will be with us, as well as our friends Rod and Karen from The Black Guy Who Tips in Las Vegas, April 9th through 12th. Very excited to see you out there. Very excited to have you here today. JL Cauvin, welcome back. Good to see you.
It's great. It's been a long time. It feels like for us, it's been a long time.
I feel like you were real busy with your congressional campaign, and then I don't know. I don't know why we haven't talked, but we've been checking in. I've been texting you and seeing how you're doing, and I'm really happy to have you here to react to everything that's happening in the world. But
you liked my biracial snow joke.
I did like that biracial snow joke, and I found some biracial snow later on that I sent to you. I like all your biracial material. Every biracial joke you make, I'm here for it because I feel like you have the integrity and credibility to make such jokes.
Thank you. I just found out my dad is actually an Italian guy. My mom had an affair.
Oh,
so that really undoes a lot.
It was Adam Sandler, which would have made a lot of sense as well, although the age he'd had to been.
Yeah, I mean that would be one of those Mary Jo Kopechne. Was that her?
Was she one of the teachers who had the affair with the student?
Or was she? No. I think she was the woman who Ted Kennedy killed. I'm sorry. Kate, who's technically she also couldn't be my mom for other reasons. What is that woman's name? Who's the original, like the OG? I think she just passed away.
A teacher who, like a female woman who had raped a young man. Is that the name you're looking for? I think, but I don't know, and I can't remember, and I don't care. Moving on.
Okay, I say forcibly seduced. That's the term I use, but okay.
I can't believe.
I don't know. I'm not keeping up with all the new left terminology. Sorry.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to ask you, a lot of people are now referring to New Jersey 11, the district that you ran for Congress in. You and several other candidates, there were about 50 of them. Mary Kay Letourneau.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So look, Kopechne, Letourneau, potato. Let's have both women are dead.
Oh, Kim Nyborg. Good call in the live chat. So
I love that last name, by the way. I've never told her this, but I do.
Nyborg?
Yeah, it's like a Negro cyborg.
Oh, wow. I wonder if she's ever heard that, but now I'm sure she's never going to stop thinking about it. So, well done. Her family.
Well, those would be the cyborgs that are, better athletes than just the regular side. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, not in hockey.
That's true. I went to, no joke, I was at Black History Night at the New York Rangers game last week.
Yep.
And they gave a check to one organization in Brooklyn that I guess services Black people for something. And that was it. There literally was no history to share. I wish I was kidding. It was very much like the joke in Airplane, like here's a leaflet on famous Jewish athletes. This was like, here's a tweet on somebody Black that once attended a Ranger game, and we're done. So anyway, yes, moving on.
Well, you're the only person. I mean, there's been so many takes given on the Olympics and the U.S. hockey team.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of things I want to ask you about. We haven't talked in a while. I want to go through a lightning round to get your reaction and interpretation. And we always love the way you frame things here on the show and in your mind, in your crazy brain, crazy, brilliant, original brain. And so you're a hockey fan. And you're biracial, and you are a misogynist. I can make these jokes again now that you're not running for Congress because I don't care if people take me seriously or not.
And jokes, there's a lot of truth in those jokes. 100%, in fact, of the joke you just made.
So the issue about the men's and women's hockey team and equity and all of that, not to mention just the fact that a lot of the men's team were obviously MAGA. So it brings in the racial component, which we can easily talk about when it comes to hockey and why there's not a lot of Black players and so on, or interest in it from Black folks. And more importantly, so the racial component, the gender, sexual, sexist component, all of it, I wanted to get your take, seeing as that you also are inside the mind of Donald Trump. When he called that locker room, I was excited for what video you would be putting out.
His call to the locker room, on the scale of Donald Trump things, it's a 1 out of 10. You know what I mean? It's
outrage or scandal.
Yeah. In terms of, because I mean, you know, he's
I
Donald
invite
Trump.
You guys, I got to invite the ladies. That part of it.
It was him wanting the world to still be Mad Men. Like, everybody, we got to bring the wives. We got to bring the wives to the State of the Union. You know how they are, these balls and chains. But that's what it was. Like, in an objective way, it was like one of the least offensive things he's ever said or done. But
yet,
to make a joke, this wasn't just a, hey, fellas, leave the wives at home kind of thing. This was, hey, they just won a gold medal for the country in exactly the same fashion. A 2-1 overtime win over Canada. Now, they were the favorites, but to demean them, and I know, yes, it's a joke, but you're the president, and they just won for the country. So maybe they shouldn't be and I'm, all jokes aside, I am not a never punch down comedian. I punch down, I punch sideways, I punch up, whatever. But it's, as the president in that moment, to sort of use fellow champions because they are women as the butt of a joke. It's another, dude, can't you just act like the fucking president one time?
He really needed to make that gold about himself, says Benny in the live chat. And Kash Patel showed up. And just describe and then we'll move on to more important issues, more recent, obviously the war and everything else. But like, when you saw Kash Patel in there and drinking beer and wearing medals, I think he put on someone's medal, which I think is a weird thing to do.
Matthew Tkachuk, who has the mullet to prove that he is the most MAGA guy on the Olympic hockey team.
What did you make of how just the cringe factor, how weird that would be for almost anybody to be in that locker room if they weren't like listen, I don't think spouses or children are generally invited into the initial original celebration. They start to come in a little bit later or whatever. But like, for him to insert himself in there or anybody to invite him, that was the weirdest pick me cringe thing I think I've seen from this administration, from anyone in this administration. And that's hard to beat. What did you think?
I just thought it was sort of pathetic, but I also realized that we now live in two worlds where anything the Trump administration does is kind of like, hey, wouldn't you do that? Like it's this projection of, you regular person, wouldn't you want to party with the Olympic champs? Yes, but I'm not the FBI director. Like, you can't remove the dignity, the context of the position and then like act like that doesn't matter. Yes, I guess it would be cool to party after a team won the gold medal. Yes, me, regular citizen who likes hockey. But it's pathetic, and I'm the 900th person to say this, but it really did have like an adult getting a Make-A-Wish kind of vibe.
Well, his own FBI agents,
yeah,
calling him Make-A-Wish Cash or something like that is what I read.
Yeah, I've said this many times during Trump 2.0 especially, but we're at this point where it's just like everything is gone. Every kind of guardrail, every sort of guideline, ethical standard, norm, decency, it's all gone. It's all like, and it's all gone, not because people like us don't still believe in them, but enough of the country doesn't anymore. You know, when you have a half the country who doesn't give a shit about propriety or decency, then the country doesn't care about them. Huh?
Not half. We're not half that doesn't care about decency, do you think? I think there's more than half of Americans that like those videos that circulate with former President Obama doing anything. You see these videos? You ever see this out of nowhere? It's like a palate cleanser, a timeline cleanser, just Obama any day.
To paraphrase Obama, though, if you want me to believe that more than half the country feels that way, don't vote.
There you go.
Social media posts don't make the country.
All right, let me ask you about what you took away from your congressional run in New Jersey 11, why so many people are referring to specifically what happened there. And I think my understanding is that the Israeli lobby, the main interest group AIPAC, donated a lot of money and it didn't work. Their guy didn't win, or it backfired. There's a lot of really interesting analysis, but it seems like there's a whole bunch of political analysts that are looking at that district that you ran in for a number of reasons. Why are they referring to it, and are they right with their takeaways?
Yeah, APAC, it was quite stunning because they didn't kind of come out and fully endorse a different candidate. There were suspicions over who they were endorsing or trying to promote, but they really made their mission to attack Tom Malinowski. And what was interesting about it was um he like he did tell like what I call a Sir story on the campaign trail. It was like the one and only time it was like a Trump-like story because he said, APAC spoke to me and they said, Tom, you're just too independent. And I said, that sounds like a story Trump would say. They definitely didn't say it in that way. But the point being, they wanted to take him out apparently because he's not, he's 93% pro-Israel instead of 100%. And they just turned it into an anti-ICE campaign because that was the issue that would galvanize people. But then that led to the sort of most left-wing, high-profile candidate in the race winning, Ana Lilia Mejia, who's a Bernie-backed candidate. And I think a buddy of mine said to me, unless AIPAC's goal was to try and get Mejia in as like, and then frame her as too anti-Israel and too radical left, and then maybe that would help the Republican, except this district was redrawn a few years ago to be more safely Democratic. So I don't, it honestly feels like the lobby may have been drunk with power, to be honest. Like they just assumed they could like do whatever they wanted, inject money into the race and have it turn. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest.
Lots of other issues that I want to ask you about for sure. We could spend a lot more time on that one, but I also just want to ask you about, have you been following this Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who had an affair with the staffer who then killed herself, and he's still in Congress and he's still running? I think he's up for a runoff in Texas. Did you pay any attention to that?
I just know that is this the woman who lit herself on fire? Oh. Yeah. Talk about a conscious uncoupling. That was horrific, and the joke and what happened. But yeah, I mean, have I been following it? I know basically what you just told me and what I shared.
I asked you that. I asked you about the whole thing with Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski, because these kinds of sex scandals used to absolutely sink someone's career. And of course, it's just worth mentioning that, and the allegations, I guess, about Kristi Noem, but it seems like the worst kept secret that she's having some kind of inappropriate or
I have repeated videos. I have videos in my archives from a couple of years ago mocking Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem for having sex. I had heard that's been years. That's been going on for years. You know, the fact that he slept, I don't mean to, you called me a misogynist, so I'm gonna lean in, I guess. Not to use a feminist phrase, of course, like some beta cuck. But he was with Hope Hicks also.
Corey Lewandowski dated Hope Hicks, who is a White House staffer aide. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's really, to quote Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, he chose poorly by going with Noem.
Your big takeaway is that she's not as attractive. That's what I'm hearing you say.
I mean, she's aging like milk. Kristi Noem. We're not in that space yet where I can't be a little shallow in my mockery of the worst people on earth.
No, I'm all right with it about specific women, and specifically Kristi Noem, who looks like she had a blind plastic surgeon. I don't know what happened or what she did to her face, but nonetheless, there she was testifying yesterday, getting hammered by a whole bunch of Democrats.
I do hear she did go to a top 5 surgeon in Pierre, South Dakota.
Oh, it was a top 5 plastic surgeon in Pierre.
Is Pierre, South Dakota? I hope I'm right on that one.
Yes, I definitely
nailed.
Well done. Had to ask you, obviously, about what you think of this latest. Well, just before we get to Iran, Epstein I saw that there's going to be a new batch of Epstein files coming out. It's like, what world do we live in? It's hard to keep track of how many files have been or not been released, but we're now going to see this back in the news, obviously, as it should be. Cookie's barking.
Cookie does not like this. Cookie, is from Tennessee. Donald Trump is her president, and she knows where you're headed with this, and she doesn't like it. I will say this: has Larry Ellison secured the rights to the Epstein files because he could release them on Paramount Plus? I mean, I don't know what we're doing anymore. I don't. The president is. I find myself more disgusted with Pete Hegseth, to be honest, in a weird way right now. Maybe he's just getting the spotlight, because it's like the worst man on earth is running the country, hiding his own rape scandals, and he's got the worst member of Cobra Kai Dojo, bragging about murder at press conferences. We are disgusting. We're gross. Our country sucks right now. I'm sorry, and I love it. This is who we are right now. Whenever people say this is not who we are, I go, well, this is who we are. Yeah. We're not all that, but
the rest of the world
they are representing. Yeah, they're not watching me and you. No offense. They're watching. Although I do have a robust Australian and Canadian fan base, as do you. Your best friend is in Australia.
I appear on Australian television quite a bit. I can't walk around anywhere in
huge ratings dip, I hear, when you appear. But anyway, I was looking at the data. I have a lot of fans over there. I was crunching the numbers. No worries. But that is who we are to the world, because that's who's speaking for us. That's who's in charge of our military and in charge of our government. And I wish I had more nuanced thoughts on this at this point, but I have said before, the re-election of Donald Trump, I put in my Mount Rushmore of shames of America, along with slavery, Jim Crow, and the genocide of natives.
No doubt about it. And I think that's worth always mentioning, repeating, and keeping a perspective, because I don't think anybody can argue. Well,
some people say Korematsu, the internment of Japanese Americans, and here's why I say no. Roosevelt didn't campaign on that. That was kind of oh shit, we're at war, let's make a horrible decision. Yeah. And then we have, as a country, cast shame on that decision, have paid reparations. So we both made a more impromptu, horrible decision, and then have come to regret it and apologize for it. Trump, re-electing him he is doing what he said he would do. So this was a premeditated crime against America, re-electing a traitor. Yes. So that's why I put it in the top 4. I genuinely think American history should and must regard his first term could have been one of those aberrations. Terrible guy, terrible choice. Country learned its lesson. By re-electing him, as he campaigned on vengeance and bigotry and hate, and has even lied on the few things he promised his supporters, bringing prices down, no wars.
Attempted a coup when he lost.
Well, that's through traitor was my sort of blanket term for that. But yeah, I think he is one of the 4 worst things in this country's history.
Let me ask you specifically about one of the worst things that he has done, which is start a war in Iran. How do you see this latest action? I mean, he started a war in Iran. I mean, he campaigned that he wouldn't be the war guy. He's bombed more countries than anybody now. All the analysis is fascinating, but I just can't believe we're here. I still kind of am holding on to the fact that he killed General Soleimani his first term within days and bombed Iran within days of his second term. And this is just be a little bit more of that. There weren't really terrible consequences, at least right away, as a result. But I don't think this is that. They sank a battleship yesterday. They're bombing the shit out of the country with the Israelis. What do you make of it?
Somebody tweeted something about I really think Benjamin Netanyahu is the worst president we've ever had. As far as America, I thought that was a very witty, dark tweet.
The Israelis occupy America because they have such a stranglehold on Congress and obviously Trump. And for what? What is America's interest in defending Israel, especially after they committed genocide. But you were saying,
killing brown people has always, as I named my, three of my four Mount Rushmore of worst things America's ever done involve the killing of black and brown people.
right?
I think it's so odd because it really doesn't matter. An illegal war is an illegal war, but it is salt in the wound just seeing how he and Hegseth sort of conduct themselves. It's very kid with a magnifying glass on burning ants. It's very bro. It's very frat bro. We wish it was the world was a 1980s action movie. Like at some point they're just going to like bring topless women on for random nudes during press conferences. Like we all liked in 80s action movies. Like, oh, this is the random scene where we have to go to a strip club for 30 seconds because men coming to 80s action movies want broken limbs, kicks to the face, gunshots, and breasts. And so that's the only thing I think missing right now from a Trump press conference.
A Marine broke his arm yesterday in the doorway while protesting. Yeah. So we had that yesterday.
Like a Seagal, like a Steven Seagal move. Just
By the way, that video I never watched it. I don't want to watch someone breaking their bones, having their bones broken. In this case, it's Marine, but it was in every timeline I went to, everywhere I went. I was just being fed that video, which says a lot. Go ahead. More about the invasion and what it means for us and for Trump, I guess, too. Like
when I heard yesterday, I heard Carolyn. Sorry, I heard Carolyn Levitt. I watched her press conference, and it's so funny. They're just so schooled now in the Trump method, which is their only job is to be insulting and aggressive and uncompromisingly supportive. She said, for 4 years, we had a stupid and incompetent president. Now I'm listening to this going, this is how you're rallying the country to support this war, right? By calling the man who got the most votes in history in 2020 a stupid and incompetent person. He was stupid and incompetent. And she actually said, and he was busy trying to send weapons to some faraway place called Ukraine. And I was like, oh, that's where we are now. Whenever I see people, I almost hate the caveats at this point. Nobody's shedding any tears for Khamenei. Nobody's shedding any tears for him. Nobody's shedding any tears. And I was like, how many people who would shed tears if that was revisited upon us? And all of a sudden you woke up to breaking news with Donald Trump. A missile was shoved up Donald Trump's ass last night and he exploded all over the White House. I don't know. I think you'd see David Hasselhoff on top of the ballroom singing about freedom as half of America came out and danced, let alone the rest of the world. That's a Berlin. That's a Berlin Wall falling.
Oh, he was on the Berlin Wall. Okay.
I'm younger than you.
Also, a lot of people in the live chat reacting harshly at your pronunciation of Seagal. Steven Seagal. You said Seagal, and people.
Well, there's only one Seagal in my book, and that's Katie Siegel of Married with Children.
Well, I just talked to Eric Seagal, so. Let's go back to more reactions from you because I'm loving this. You're on a good
lukewarm takes with JL.
No, you haven't had maybe a chance to really let it rip, specifically on the Israeli American Iran invasion. Most Americans don't like it's like 20%. We're old enough to have lived through 9/11, the Iraq War, where they had to sell us that, then get congressional approval for military action, authorization of military action, what they call the AUMF, not a declaration of war. But there was no time. He didn't even mention it in the State of the Union. He mentioned it like for 5 seconds, and then he made a video that he posted on Truth Social, and all of a sudden, the entire Navy and Air Force is launching.
Yeah, I'm getting Threads updates when I wake up from Lori Kilmartin on the West Coast announcing war to me because she's watching it at like midnight LA time.
We love you, Larry.
And then I wake up at like 6 a.m. and I'm like, wait, what happened? Breaking news from Lori Kilmartin in our West Coast office.
Lori Kilmartin, a great follow anywhere you go and a great comedian. But I see her timeline. It feeds me everything. That's how you learned of it. I'll let her know.
Yeah. But I think Um, I just, once again, and I've said this before on your show, really regarding 2021, the failed conviction of Trump. But once again, Senate Republicans proved to be the founding fathers' worst nightmare. A gutless bunch of bitches with 6 years in office and no spine. Because one Republican maybe voted yesterday to like for a war authorization. And I know then, and they just traded. John Fetterman voted for it, so it literally had like no impact. But the total surrender by congressional Republicans of their duty is Trump is the worst, is the worst. But the real damage has been the complete capitulation by Republicans en masse in Congress. That's like, and we as a citizenry continue to sort of both sides it in our minds and blame Democrats and go, but what about it? We have a worse than non-functioning opposition party. The Republican Party is like dead. They're just hundreds of lifeless bodies doing whatever Trump tells them to do. That is the huge problem. And that's why I always say, hey, vote for whatever Democrat you want. But at the end of the day, vote for a Democrat. They will do something. They believe in government. They believe in the functions of government. They believe in helping people broadly. You may not like their solutions. You may not think they go far enough, depending on who we're talking about. But whatever Democrat you think is the biggest piece of shit or the biggest time to move on, light years better than Republicans, with the exception of maybe Thomas Massey, who seems to at least have carved out some integrity. I may not agree with him, but at least he seems to be standing where he stands on issues, no matter who's in office.
It is principles, regardless of who's in office. Yeah, Rand Paul's like that to some extent, and most Democrats, I would argue, are like that. Let me just wrap up on this question that I asked Eric Segal as well about the midterm.
Why are people so mad about me saying Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal.
I don't know. I feel like these are people who didn't watch his movies.
You mispronounce people's names more than the average person who is goes in public and talks. I think you do. I taught you a lot, and I think you do. I cannot think of any examples, but I'm pretty sure you're guilty of it. But do you think there's going to be a midterm election? What does it look like right now? Because Eric Segal made a really good case about Trump didn't even want to let his election for president go. And there's no way he's going to allow the election to be secure and function, quote, normally. Democrats are winning everywhere in places that Republicans are retiring in Montana and everywhere. And yet we're still worried about the security and legitimacy of the elections in November. What are your current thoughts about it?
There's obviously no case to be made for political violence, Pete.
If they steal the election,
unless of course they steal the election, you stepped on my line. You stepped on my line. It's everything's on the table at this point. I think what Trump has done, how he conducts himself, how he's telegraphed everything he's doing. I think what people need to sort of realize, and it seems that this is what works so well in Trump's favor. We're in the age of unlimited streaming and smartphones. And I think Donald Trump could never have come to office 30 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. He could have never. And he certainly would not have been able to sustain this grip on power. But I think people have enough creature comforts. People have been turned off from politics enough that level of cynicism gives him a little bit of wiggle room to try and really fuck shit up. And I think, once again, it has to be, and if the voter turnout is overwhelming in 2026, like everybody hates what he's doing. Republicans, independents, podcasters, bros, everybody comes out, and it's a landslide for Democrats, a swing of 50 seats, even with partisan gerrymandering, just some. Well, then, he always plays jujitsu, right? Which is like, use your attack as like, use their momentum against them. It's going to make, well, how could they do that? Doesn't this, he does it with Biden's win. 81 million. How the hell did he get 81 million votes?
And then they find a reason, China or anyone else,
right?
And you just stay it. Just state it.
And with Biden, it's sad to say, my argument for why Biden got so many votes is people don't care that much, and they could do it from home, so they did it. I still think that's such a sad commentary, that when you could do it from home and you had nothing else to do, you're like, I guess I'll use my most important right as a citizen this one time.
Because people could vote because of COVID, a lot of voting rules, although they've rolled back a lot of those rules, and they're trying to roll back a lot more with the SAFE Act and everything else. I don't think that's going to pass, but I think the more difficult they make it to vote, I believe that it has that kind of opposite effect. The more likely we are to vote, the more we hear about it, the more it makes us mad. And if they do, in fact, just deny the outcome of the election, there will be violence. There just will be. Not encouraging it. I mean, it's going to happen in that case. I can't imagine otherwise. And I'm thinking about that more these days, and I hate it. But
it's very sad. But we put ourselves in this position, and I cannot believe that in 2026 I'm still getting into arguments with people online about how this is Hillary Clinton's fault or Kamala Harris's fault.
Wow. If those are real people, bring them to the show. Bring them to me.
Yeah, Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, or whatever the changes would have been if those people had won. I can't believe how much better a world we'd have if we had never had Bush, and then especially, all due respect to George W. Bush, the plague that is Trump.
You're a comedian, a comedy critic. You even review comedy specials and have a lot to say. What did you think? And you also have a lot to say about Saturday Night Live. What did you think of that sketch? The How Dare You? Most people have seen it by now, I hope.
It's the Tourette's one?
No, the one where they slap each other with the glove.
That one. No, I did see that one. Oh. I thought it was funny. It was like a Family Guy joke where they kept doing it long enough that I went from going, this is dumb, to, okay, now I'm enjoying it.
I just wanted to get your insight. I knew you'd have some insight on that. I've just been obsessed with that. Why I haven't been very many sketches. I just love the performances. I thought the whole setup was really fun and funny.
They've been, and I don't know if this was because like a couple of years ago, there was a great movie that made like no money called Saturday Night. It was about the first episode of Saturday Night Live.
Love that.
I thought that movie was amazing.
Very good.
And I feel like it showcased a little bit. And then I read this book on SNL, and it kind of showcased how early on it was a much more alternative, out there kind of vibe to the show. And I have felt over the last 2 seasons that SNL has been trying to lean a little bit more into the weird, a little more into the alternative, and with some results that are really good, and some where I go, hey, sometimes weird is not funny. Well, sometimes weird can be really funny.
They got to compete with the funniest irreverent stuff on TikTok and Instagram and other social media platforms that are really good, really funny to, not to everybody, but they have so many different niches out there. It's hard to be mainstream necessarily and still be original and inventive. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you do. Okay, plug anything you want, and then I'm going to wrap it up with you.
Oh, we're done? Oh.
I gotta go. I gotta call my mom.
All right. And by the way, and I want to tell everybody now publicly that I accepted your mom's friend request within 72 hours max of her car accident. Just in case anybody out there is still not a believer of the JL jinx.
So bad that you're taking any responsibility for my parents' car accident.
I mean, if I told you the amount of car accidents that occurred to people close to me in the space of like a month, you would not believe it. But
I got rear-ended the day after my mom and dad got in a car accident. It wasn't serious, but I was running to the hospital.
What was his name?
His Tom. He's an EMT. It was great. I was on Adam Sank's podcast. He was watching us earlier. JL and I know Adam, very funny comedian, and like just he's very gay and talks a lot about sex. And I love it. He's been on the show. Really smart guy, political guy.
He's what I call sex too positive.
And I did his show, and he asked me about my own penis a lot, like in the interview. Like, it was like he was interviewing my penis, and it might be jarring for this audience to hear. But if that's something you're interested in, me talking to a gay man about gay stuff and me, then check that out, JL. I think you'll really like.
Yeah, Sank. What I'm a big fan of Adam Sank, and I've said it before on this very show. But it is always annoying when I open up Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, there's a man in like leather briefs and nipple clamps as the first photo. Hey, child sitting next to me on the train as I open up Instagram. Sorry about that. I'm obviously exaggerating only slightly.
I'm trying to find the image that he shared to promote it, because it is me and then two shirtless men. Here it is. Here it is. Hold on, I'll share it with everybody. And my friends in Australia, who you mentioned, just went nuts for it. Here it is. For people listening, they're going to miss out. But it's just me in a normal picture, and then two guys with no shirts. What do you think?
It's great. It's it's they're angling for a certain demo.
All right, bud. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining. Pod Jam, April 9th. See you in Vegas, everybody. Bye-bye. See you tonight at our hangout if you're a paid subscriber. If not, patreon.com/Pete Dominic. Bye.
Bye.